you are all well this week. On this video, I'm going to be showing you how I hatch killifish eggs. Now, before we get into this properly, I just want to let you know that this is how I do killifish eggs. I will spit this out in a minute. I can speak English, believe it or not. So this is just my way of doing it. This is how I do it. There is lots of different ways to go out there and do it, and each individual species of killifish may vary. So please do check before you do this. But I'm going to take you through how I do it. So in here are my killifish eggs. This is what I like to call my incubator. I received these eggs around December time. Through the post, and ever since then they've been basically sitting in this box untouched on the top of my racking system. So the idea is that they're nice and safe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through a rough guide on what you do from basically the time you receive the killifish eggs when you purchase them through until they hatch. Okay, so as you can see, these are in my incubator. So let's have a quick look. Okay, now obviously when these come through in the post, they won't just arrive like this. They're going to be wrapped in an envelope or whatever. They may even be pre-wrapped in tin foil. So when you get your package through, I suggest that you obviously undo it very carefully, because, you know, these are just silly bags. And if they're not already wrapped in tin foil, wrap them in tin foil. So hopefully when you receive your eggs in the post, they will give you a date on here. So here, for instance, you can see what type they are. So we've got 4 different types in here, and the collection date. Now these are the date, or this is the date that they were collected. So this particular was collected on the 2nd of the 12th, 2022. So that will give you your rough idea of when you need to hatch these. Now again, for each individual species, you need to look up their incubation time. So how long basically you need to set them. So hopefully you can write this down somewhere else, so you can work that out at a later date after we've gone through the whole procedure. So basically, when you receive your killifish eggs, you need to store them somewhere dark and somewhere warm. So this is why obviously they're in my poly box with the lid on. It's nice and dark in there. At the top of my room, my eggs are roughly sitting at around 20 degrees. Obviously, give or take, but you want to sit them somewhere fairly warm. I wouldn't go much above that. You know, I wouldn't go sticking them in your airing cupboards or anything like that, or above your water boiler. But you just want them somewhere that's fairly warm. They're not going to get too cold, and they're dark, because they can be light sensitive. Now, obviously, here we have them under light. But when I mean light sensitive, I mean, you know, don't leave them on your windowsill or under bright light for a long period of time. Okay? And basically you need to leave them in this until the hatching date, or wetting date, as it's called, when you obviously re-wet the eggs. So when you get them, they're in these nice little pouches on a peat kind of substance, whatever the breeder has decided to put them in. And that's it. Okay, what you can do with your eggs, which I do with mine, but when I collect them from my own fish, because obviously in this, it's a bit hard to be checking your eggs. So when I do mine, I put them in little plastic containers with a bit of peat moss on the bottom. I will then put the eggs on top, making sure they're not touching each other. And you need to occasionally check the condition of your eggs. Now what you're looking for, as the photo will show here, is, as you can see on this photo, we have 3 different types of eggs. Now one of them has fungus. That's the one obviously that's white, it looks like it's gone furry, like a cotton ball type of scenario. That's obviously a fungused egg. Now when you see this kind of thing, you should really remove the egg out of the pot, because obviously the egg is bad, it is fungused, it will not hatch. The egg directly beside that is a fertile egg. That's a fairly early fertile egg, so it's almost like that transparent amber colour. That's a nice healthy egg. And the one next to that is nice and healthy. That's an older egg that's been incubating for a while. Again, you've got that nice rich amber colour to it. That's a nice fertile egg. Okay. When your eggs are closer to the hatching or wetting date, you should then, if you actually look closely at your eggs, I'm not going to do it here because as you can see, the eggs are in plastic sealy bags. I don't really want to interfere with them too much, but if they are on top of the soil, and as you sort of root around and have a look in them, my camera wouldn't pick it up anyway, but as my next picture will show you that has been provided, you can see that these eggs are what we call eyed up. So you've got the fry sitting within inside the egg. They're ready to hatch. They may even move within the egg if you shined a light onto it, so they may squirm or wiggle. That's a nice healthy embryo or a nice healthy fry waiting to come out the egg. So what I'm going to show you now is basically the process of how I set things up and how I get things ready. So let's go look up basically the things we need. So the first thing we're going to need is make sure you have live food ready for them. So this could be baby brine shrimp, which is what I use, BBS, or microworms. It's up to you. I find personally that BBS is absolutely fine. The fry are actually quite a fair size, considering obviously I breed betas, so I'm used to tiny wee little eyelash babies. The fry for a killifish are much more larger than a beta fish fry, and they also grow fairly quickly as well. They grow faster than beta fish. So you need to be thinking about your live foods beforehand. Now, when you are thinking about your live foods, please be aware that when it does come to, once you've worked out your hatching date on your eggs, and you've calculated that, and you've either marked the bags, or you've marked the box, or you've put a note on your phone, an alarm, or on your calendar, or whatever it may be, please be aware that on the wetting or hatching date, that you will need to have food ready for them on that day, because once these start to come out, you need to feed them straight away. Okay, so that's that done. Okay, so what we're also going to need on this is you're going to need plastic tubs. Now, as you can see, Chinese tubs work wonderfully. So we have 4 Chinese tubs here, 4 packs of eggs. Hopefully this should go well. Okay, now let's talk about the tank. So basically you want a tank or a vessel to to hatch your fish in, or once they have hatched to go into. I keep mine at around 24 to 26. I keep mine fairly shallow. My water that I've put in my tank that I will show you in a minute, there's not much to look at really. It's just a basic tank. Okay, so as you can see here, very basic tanks, 4 tanks set up identical. We've got around 5 inches of water in there, heater, sponge filter, slowly trickling at the back, and a little bit of Java moss in each one, and a piece of an Asian almond leaf. So all of them are identical, all 4 sorted. Okay, so let's get started with this. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your 4 tubs right here. Can you see all of them? Just that one. So move up, it doesn't really matter. You can see these, that's good enough. Okay, so we're going to take the first one, and basically all you're going to do I'm just going to gently open the bag, which has been securely taped down. Okay, and you're just going to plop that into your tub. Try not to get it stuck to the subject. And in it goes. Obviously, try not to spill it all over the place. You do try and get out as much as you can, but hopefully the eggs are secure within the soil and not stuck to the bag. I can't see any stuck to the bag, even though obviously killifish eggs are quite small. Okay, so I'm just gonna I'm not flattening it. All I want to do is just break up the clumps as much as possible, fairly gently. Now when you do your soil, don't panic if you don't see any in there, because I've done that before and I've rooted in these for ages thinking, oh my god, I've just been sold a bag of dirt, what the hell is going on? There's an egg. That looks nice and healthy. Okay, and also do remember that when you're doing these, you know, try not to squeeze too hard. I mean, in all fairness, if it's a good egg, it's a good egg, and it shouldn't break on you. But obviously, you know, the size of the egg also does depend on the species of the killifish, because obviously, you know, some killifish are larger than others. As you can see here, we have, looks like there's quite a few eggs in that one actually. As you can see here, we have different species of these killifish. So, you need to make sure you wash your hands in between. If you're not 100% positive that you've got them off of you. I'm alright. I've got hand sanitizer here that you can use. So, we can use a bit of that. I've never found it hurts. So, just making sure that in between each one, you're just double checking your own hands to make sure that they're not, you're not contaminating the eggs from one tank to another. What I also do, as you've just seen, I've just put the bag underneath the underneath the tub. That way then I know that this particular one is that. That way then you don't get them mixed up, because we don't want that now, do we? So same thing with this. I'm going to zip out said substrate into the pot. Try and get as much out as possible. Give the bag a little bit of a check. If you really wanted to, you could take some water and put in the bag to flush out. But if I'm being honest, I've not worried too much. So, as you can see, that the peat that's being used is, I mean, this one actually is fairly wet, so it's wetter than I personally would have sat it for. So we'll see on this one. These, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We'll be. Oh no, there's one. Yeah, there's an egg. That doesn't look too bad. So again, making sure we've got nothing in our hand. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could wear gloves for this, I suppose. There's no harm in a pair of gloves, and then you could change the gloves each time, I suppose. Or glove. Yeah, I suppose I could have done the glove, couldn't I? Rather than spraying my hand each time. But, you know. That's that one. And now we'll do this one. So that's my Australs. Right. Again, this soil's a little bit wetter than I probably would have wanted, but straight away, just looking in the bag there, I can see what looks to be a fairly healthy egg. But this is a bit like the excitement of it, you know. I mean, have you literally just paid for a bag of dirt? Or will we get some cracking fish out of this? Who knows? I mean, obviously, you know, I've done this before. This is how, you know, I first got my killifish, was through eggs. So, you know, I've done this before. But now, obviously, only being down to my blue galaris, because you'd have to prize my blue galaris out of my cold, dead hands. You know, I was silly enough to let go of my other killifish, which was, looking back on it, it was a very, very, very silly thing to do. But I digress. I digress. I couldn't keep it all. I should have, though. I should have. I should have kept them all. Like, no, you're not having them. I will store them somewhere. Silly girl. Anyway, so again, last pack. That was sod to get apart. In we go. Okay, job done. So, what we want to do now is we need to take some water from said fry tanks and add them to the tank. So, we're going to do that. Let me just climb up here, get some water. Get some water. Okay, so what we need to do is, obviously, we'll go over this again briefly. Wetting the eggs is basically, you take a tub with the eggs in and you add some water. Now, I like to go roughly around an inch above the dirt, give or take. I try not to go too much over an inch, but you basically want to leave enough room so that the new fry, and wait for a while. So I'm just going to fill up the rest of these tubs and then we'll be back. Okay, so we've got water in our tubs now. As you can see, there's a little bit less, or you might be able to see, I've put a little bit less water in this particular tub because there was less soil in this one to what there was the other three. So we're not going to worry about that too much. Okay, so that's all right, it's not a problem. Okay, so basically in around, I will probably leave this now, like I said, around 10-15 minutes or so. and then I will add some BBS, so baby brine shrimp, to the water. That way then, hopefully by that point we should see some fry and they should start to be hungry. So what I will do, what I normally do at this point, if I can reach them, I have a knitting needle. I don't knit, but you know, they're handy things to have. I will just literally gently move the soil. And this is in case, obviously, I didn't break up the soil. I'm just going to gently move it about, make sure the water is all the way down and in every part of it. I'm also, just in case anyone was wondering, I'm not concerned about eggs sticking to this. Most killifish eggs are not sticky. They do not stick to things really. And obviously you've got plant spawners and things like that, but they're normally actually just sort of caught by the plants. By this stage, they would have got rid of all of that by this point anyway. So, and obviously with a knitting needle, you can generally tell quite quickly whether or not you've got a bit of dirt stuck to it. So, what we're going to do is I will now leave this for around half hour or so and come back and see whether or not we can see anything. So I will see you in a bit. Okay, right, it's been about half hour, 45 minutes or so, give or take. I have popped back in here and checked a few times. I have added some baby brine shrimp, and in this particular one we have fry, as you can see. I don't know where's better. There's one. There's a few, look. So in just a few minutes or so we have fry, which is excellent. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to gently pour some of this. I'm going to pour off the water from here into a tank, and then I'll refill again, and then I'll show you what we do next, or what I do next. Okay, right, what I've done now is I have taken the water that was in the pot. I've gently, without trying to put too much soil into the water, and poured into the tank. I'm trying to get it to focus for you. Let's see if we can find a baby on camera. There's one, look. Can I get the light on it? No, apparently not. Come on, babies. Show yourselves. They're in here somewhere. Okay, so what I've done now is I have gently poured the water from the tub into the tank. Now you'll have to excuse all the particles in the water, because obviously, you know, some of the substrate did obviously go into the tank. But if I can just move my torch along, there's a fry, there's another fry, there's another fry, And another fry. So this one, if nothing else, this one has worked. So the little wiggly bits you can see in the water are brine shrimp. So we're all good. I have put some more water. There's the tublet that's floating. I put some more water into the tub, and then basically I will repeat that process twice a day. So pour off the top to get the bibbies out. Any more that is due to hatch. And yeah, you can do that for around 2 to 3 days. So there's the other one. You know, nothing's come out of it yet. We're still hopeful. And the other one, and the other one, and it goes on and on and on. So I will continue that for 2 to 3 days of just removing the water from the tub, resetting it with more water, and leave it again. And I will pop back to you in a few days' time, and hopefully these little buggers would have gone as well. I hope they do, because obviously, you know, they're killifish that I'd like. But if not, you know, that's the way it goes, unfortunately, with killifish fry. That is the way it goes. Sometimes they hatch, sometimes they don't. So it has been known for the eggs to completely dissolve. It has been known that, you know, the eggs just don't hatch. There's nothing that comes of it. But this particular one, that has. So I will leave it there and pop back to you in a few days and see what happens. See you in a bit. Bye. Okay, hello. We have killifish babies. Can you see them? You can see one in between the glass and the filter turning round. There's one down, or there's two down there on the base of the tank, playing about around the catappa leaf. And there's lots more babies in here, but they are the only ones I can focus on. So yeah, we have killifish babies. As you can see, fry tanks can get quite messy. There's one, look, right there. Steady there. There we go. By the snail. This is the only time that snails come in handy. Put snails in your fry tanks, people. Put snails in your fry tanks. He only went in there this morning, so he's not got to work. I need to find him a working buddy, which, you know, I have plenty of. But yes, baby fish. They are eating nicely on BBS. I've still got the pot in here as it stands at the moment, because I went to pull it out today and there's still eggs in there that are dried up. So I'm going to give it another couple of days and see how we go. But let's see how the other three worked out, shall we? The other three did not work out so well. So we got none of them hatch out of these three. So I may possibly have just brought 3 bags of dirt, but I digress. I'm going to show you what you can do if this happens, which it does happen more times than you really want it to. It's literally a numbers game. Out of 4 packs of eggs, 1 successfully hatched, and I have got quite a few fry out of that, so I'm more than happy. That's not a problem. It is a bit like, you know, playing the lottery. Actually, I've had more success at this than playing the lottery. Yeah, definitely. I don't think I won anything on the lottery, but I am wittering. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a process that you can go through if you want to try again. Now, obviously, by this point, your numbers of or the amount of success you'll get is cut, but at this point, what's the harm in trying? So I'm going to take you through this and show you what happens when, or what you can do if this happens to you. So here are my 3 tubs with water in, shine some light on the subject. As you can see, absolutely nothing has happened. Well, you probably can't see that well, but I can. I've had a root, I've had a rummage, I've turned the soil over more than once. Nothing's really happening. This one's got algae in it. It had algae in it when I first started. Out of the 4, these ones were the ones that I personally thought that the soil was a little bit too wet for the storing process. But you never know. When you keep the soil too wet, you do have more of a chance of the eggs fungusing and bursting, and also more chance of them disappearing, like almost like evaporation. So let's do this. Okay, so what you really need for this process is you need a vessel to tip water into, of which I'm going to use an ice cream tub, just mainly for camera ease. And you want a thin or a small hold net, almost like a brine shrimp net. This is slightly coarser. This is one I normally use for my tiny fry. So the holes on it are quite small, because obviously you don't want to be tipping your eggs out with the water. So let me get, oh, and you're going to need newspaper of any type. I don't know what this is. This is the Daily Mail. If that makes any difference whatsoever, probably not. So let's move these tubs out the way, and I'll show you one by one. Okay, so let's start on our first one. The first one, well, they're all the same. You're all going to do it the same way, but obviously, you know, you need said net. I'm going to place said net very carefully over the top. I'm going to take my pot, and you are literally going to gently pour said water and said soil through the net and in. Okay, now obviously we want all the soil out, so this is where it gets messy, people. And so obviously you wanna place your soil into said net. Okay, obviously do a bit at a time, it's a little bit easier for you. And then you want to get out your newspaper. So I have 2 sheets of newspaper, fold them in half. Let's move that out of the way. In half, place down. Okay, and I normally do it so it's like that. Okay. Excuse me. You take said soil. Do not panic, and you squeeze. Yeah, so your water's coming out. If your eggs are good eggs, they will not burst through doing this process. It's fine. I mean, I wouldn't go, you know, like Hulk smash on it, but a firm grip around, poke the soil down again, and go again. See, now this already is drier, has got less water content to it than when I unbagged it. Okay, and then you take said soil and you dump on newspaper. And then you repeat the process until all your soil is out of your container. Messy hands in the way. You know, I'm sorry, but if you don't like dirt under your fingernails, I don't know what to tell you. because it's going to happen. No, you could, yeah, see, gloves again, I suppose, if you really wanted to, but I ain't scared of a bit of dirt and grime. It's alright. It all washes off. All comes out in the wash, like my mum used to say. Okay, so we have that. Have messy paws. Swish that. We don't worry about that bit. And again, drain it out. Resettle said soil. Drain it out. Resettle the soil. Get in there. Okay, and then you're done. Okay, right, get rid of that. Don't need that no more. I'll get rid of that. Okay. Ugh. Right, and so you have your soil on the newspaper, and what you want to do, I mean what you can do at this point is you can have another look through. This is definitely drier than when I took it out the bag. Absolutely. What's that? And that's possible. Okay, but again, don't be too concerned if you can't see any. I mean, if you can see them, then obviously, you know, that's a bonus, because you can see whether or not, you know, for definite you've got eggs in there. But I wouldn't go too mad. I mean, by all means, you know, if you've got a magnifying glass, with like the ring lights that are over the top and you can shine down, that's wonderful. I might invest in one actually. My mum used to have one for when she did cross stitch, but I don't know whatever happened to it. I used to use that for that. But obviously, you know, things just walk away in this house. Okay, so what you're now going to do is you're literally going to leave it like that. You're going to leave it out. It's going to sit in my fish room, which has got a dehumidifier on. I'm going to leave it for around, depending on how much water you can get out of your soil, would depend on how long to keep it on the paper out. I generally leave it anywhere from 10 minutes to half hour, depending on how the humidifier is working, how much water I can get out. So I'm going to do that to the other two pots, identical to what I've just done. Obviously I'm going to go wash my paws, I'm going to go wash said net out, because I don't want anything transferring, and I'm also going to go and wash the pot out and have that sitting out to dry as well, because keep them. You're going to need it for the next step. So in a bit I'm going to snap back, and I'll show you the next thing we go through on restoring your eggs. Okay, so it's been around half hour or so. I've done a little bit of housework, moved the washing, all good. So let's start getting these ready. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've got our clean Chinese pots. That's it, I forgot what they were then. So 3 Chinese pots cleaned out, and our 1, 2, 3 batch of hopefully eggs, but don't know. So we're going to move this one out of the way, slide this one up. Okay, so here we go. Dirt. Okay, so the idea of this was to absorb a little bit more moisture from said peat or substrate, whatever. So we take our tub, and this is why it's handy to have it all folded how it was, and we're literally just going to put the stuff back in said pot. Ta-da! And there it is. Okay, so even it out a little bit. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to recover this. Now, silly me has put the lids of these pots somewhere that I don't know where. So, cling film. Right, I'm going to take our cling film. Ah, it won't come out. Come out, cling film. Turn it down. And we're going to take that. So, I'm going to practice our wrapping skills. Give it that. Get in there. Okay. Like so. Do I have my scissors handy? Yes, I do. I'm not very good with cling film, so you know. I tend to get it stuck to me and stuck to itself, and it goes all over the place. Okay, so here we go. Hold that down. Ta-da! Okay, now obviously we want to label said pot. So I still have the bag that they came in. So what I'm going to do is, because obviously you know one doesn't want the whole bag, we are going to just snip off the label of the bag. It tells us that these are a Fundulopanchex species. The second part I can't pronounce. We're not going to worry about it. I'm just going to place that there. And we're going to take this sticky tape. Sticky tape. I'm just going to whop a bit of sticky tape on it. Stick it down. Job done. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that 2 more times until we have all 3 all wrapped up, and then I will pop back and show you and talk through what we do next, which is very simple really. Okay, so all 3 are now re-potted back in tubs, and basically what we're going to do is you're going to take your box, the incubator back, there it is, and we're just going to plop them back in, and you're literally going to leave them back in their boxes. So blah 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 blah, I'll sort it out later. And what you're going to do is you're going to leave them for another 2 weeks or so in said box. My camera's moving. Why is my camera moving? Get back up there. There we go. Okay, so you're going to leave them for another 2 weeks, and then basically try again. That's literally all you do. So if you do end up ordering or purchasing or being given eggs from wherever, said whoever, these come off of an eBay seller, that don't hatch, this is what you can do. Okay, so don't panic. I know obviously it's a little bit gutting when you know you want to do something and it doesn't work, but that's the name of it. I'm not going to hide the fact that only 1 out of the 4 hatched. So I've redone these, I've drained all the water back off. We're going to put them back up now on top of the rack, and then go and sit for another 2 weeks, and then I'll give it another go. I am actually luckily in contact with somebody who has actually got the killifish that I had, It's the person that took them from me, and we're in discussions about me getting some of their offspring back. They're still very young at the moment, so hopefully I can actually continue my line that I had, which will be absolutely super. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So hopefully you'll see some young juvenile killifish coming into the room, and then I won't have to worry about this kind of nonsense anymore, other than doing my own. Okay, so if you've got any questions or video suggestions or anything that you'd like me to do, drop a comment in the comments box and let me know, and I will either answer your question or see whether or not I can get that video out for you. I do have videos in the making at the moment. We're going through I'm going to take a video through the spans from some axolotls, from egg to hatching to them getting their front legs, their back legs, all the way through. So a video on like how you would care for an axolotl that's hatching all the way through until basically they're ready to find their own homes. I've got some beta breeding videos planned for you. I've got some videos going through me grading betas, so how I would select breeding pairs, what I'm looking for within their fins, things like that. And obviously we've got some more koi fish videos hopefully coming up in the future. So come with me, let's see what happens. Like I said, any comments, suggestions, let me know in the box below. Thank you very much for watching, people. Speak to you all soon. Bye.